Okay, we're going through our data access object here, and we've talked about creating new records and reading records, reading all the records or just reading one record. Now we're going to do the update and delete methods and look at those. The last part of our CRUD foursome. So we've talked about getting, reading the planets. Now let's talk about updating a planet. So assumes that in your database you've changed some values and you want to update the database to reflect the newest thing. So somewhere in your interface you've changed the planet values and you want to update it. So the idea is that you probably have a planet already. So you have one of these planet objects and you want to write that record to the database. So our main parameter is a planet object. And then from that, now when we update things, we're going to have to create one of these content values, one of these kind of generic values to hold the things for it. Again, it's pair with the field name and the field value, field name, field value. This is the same thing we used when we initially were creating the planets. We used one of these content values. It's the same thing for updating it. So we're going to create our content values, but here we're given a planet. So from the planet, we're going to get the name and get the gravity here. Now we don't do the ID. Similarly, when we created this, when we created the planet up here, we didn't specify an ID field because that was returned. The ID field is automatically indexed or incremented and created for us. And similar here, we can't manually update the ID field, so we don't specify that key field, the ID field here. Right in this part. So now we're going to actually do our database update. So using our database variable, our SQLite database, we're going to say SQLite update, and then we're going to update the database. So you might want to remind yourself what SQL update commands work. We usually say update, the name of the field, the name of the table, and then we say set, and then we have this, each field and the new value, each field and the new value here. And then we have a where clause, where which fields we want to do, and then we usually specify or often specify the primary key and its value to update that. So that's what we're doing here. So update, here's the table name. The values is this combination, the content values we had specified before, and so that'll take care of this part here. And now we have to specify the where clause. So for the where clause, we have to say, it'll do the where for us, but we have to say ID equals, and then the value, this is going to be a parameter. So we're going to say ID equals and then put a question mark there and fill that in as a parameter later on. So we're going to say database helper .id field. That'll be that ID underscore ID. And now we need a space equals space question mark. So plus space equals space question mark to get that all in there. And now where the question mark is, we're going to have to specify the ID, the actual number, like here we'll stick in a 3 or something like that. But we're given a planet, and from the planet it has an ID field already, and so we can just use the get ID field from the planet we're given to get the right things. Now this has to be, if you look at our thing here, so we did the where clause as a string, but the parameters has to be an array of strings. So we're going to declare an array of strings up here, do new string array, and then we're going to get planet.getID.toString. So this will use our planet argument up here, call the getID field, which we defined, which will return the value of the ID. That'll be an integer like 3, and we've got to convert that to a string because this is an array of strings. So this is that. So we have to do that just so we can stick this one argument in here. You can see why lazy programmers will just concatenate string the ID field here, or just hard code the ID field in here. Or hard code this value in here, something like that. But again, we've got to watch some problems with SQL injection here, and so it's better to use this longer, more complicated method. Okay, so this will update our database. This will return the number of rows we're updating, so we're just going to return that, and that'll be an integer. And so hopefully that should always be 1. We should be returning 1 row updated, because there should be only 1 row matching that ID field. Okay, similarly for a delete's a little easier. Let's look at the SQL for that. So again, to delete with SQL, we say delete from the name of the table and then where, and then we usually use the primary key. You don't have to, but we always usually say primary key equals some value. So we're going to write a delete planet method. We're going to be given the planet that we want to delete. And so inside that, it has an ID field, and we're going to have to build that up into an array of strings, just like we did up here. So just like we did above, we're going to have to copy that, create an array of strings where the planet ID is the only one there. So the delete command is very similar to the update command. We say database.delete the table name, because again, that'll be plugged in here. And then the where clause, and so again we have to specify we have to say the ID field string ID and then space equals space. So this is our ID field, again from our database helper. That's our underscore ID string, and then plus, and we do a space equals space, and then this question mark will mark where the parameter, where the argument has to be, where the 3 is. So that'll be our question mark, and we'll have to plug in the 3 there. So that's our where clause, and then our arguments, that's this array of strings, and all we're sticking in here is that we're given a planet, we're getting the ID from that planet and converting it to a string and sticking that into an array of strings. Okay, so just like update, this is our planet method, our delete method that sets up here. So now we have our full CRUD example, and this is what you often create when you create a database object is, again, so we have this interface. It'll make it easy from our main access. So our database model is all set up here. We've got our helper for creating the database. We kind of need that. We've got our data source or our data access object. And then we have our planet. So here our planet, the object that's the same as the record in the database, and we'll often return that to the main activity or work with that. And our standard methods, open, close, and then some sort of a version of CRUD, create, read, update, and delete with our database. So that the last thing we're going to look at is how we might use this in the main activity.